Welcome back, guys. Hope you've been having a great weekend, a great Friday, and wonderful news. You may have noticed I did not have a video yesterday, but I've recovered from the loss of brain cells I incurred from trying to decipher Karina's posts. Once again, something Karina has posted online has caused me to have an intellect debuff, but yeah, pretty much all good now. So we're back at it, and we're going to start with something over on Twitter, and then we're going to hop over to Blue Sky once again because it turns out there's like some pretty funny stuff going on there from these VAs. Like a lot of them have random Blue Sky stop posting elsewhere, and they're just like freaking out nonstop over on Blue Sky. But before we get to that, let me give a really quick refresher on something I covered a few weeks ago, that being a few tweets from voice actress Kaylee Mills and things that she had to say about Jacob Takanashi. And you'll see why this is very relevant to what we're going to take a look at that has been uncovered about Kaylee Mills after we get this quick refresher. Starting with this screenshot from my prior coverage, and then one more screenshot also from my prior coverage. Of course, to my recollection, she later deleted this after she got immense backlash, but the tweet had read, "This is one small job for him," that being Jacob Takanashi, "not his full-time work. It's Karina's bread and butter. He's done very little VO work, so it isn't what he's relying on to pay the bills. For all we know, his wife's the breadwinner. Either way, they bought a house recently, so I doubt it was a necessary job for survival." The context to that, presumably someone was pointing out the hypocrisy of these VAs getting all mad at Jacob Takanashi and then giving Karina a pass. And this was Kaylee Mills trying to excuse that, but again, this backfired immensely on her and only got her even more backlash. This was another tweet that, if I recall, Kaylee Mills had deleted. We're only going to read the highlighted part though, where she said, "Technically no union VA should work non-union at all, but we do, all the time. It's always been that way in VO. It's not necessarily fine, but it is still very different from taking an existing role from someone who vacated that role, withholding work for AI protections." In my video covering all that, I then went on to explain Global Rule 1 and how it's hypocritical that SAG essentially says like no union member is supposed to work on a non-union project, but then simultaneously they have another policy that basically encourages their union members to get jobs on non-union projects with the sole intention of then trying to flip that job union. This, of course, then having negative repercussions on anyone working there who is not union. But all right, this is stuff we're probably all familiar with by now, so thank you for your patience. One last thing to take one further look at from Kaylee Mills, and that was her initial tweet to Jacob Takanashi, responding to where Jacob had, of course, made his announcement post. And then Kaylee Mills had this to say, getting that community note too. But she said, "This is actually kinda diabolical. If you need the money, at least take the role uncredited. This just comes off as an easy cash grab for clout. It's not a good look." The community note reading, "According to voice actor Nathan Noakes, fellow VA Jacob Takanashi, who is a Japan-based VA, had no knowledge of the strike or the circumstance of which the role was being recast." The stuff we just took a look at was, of course, not everything that Kaylee had to say about Jacob, not all the negative stuff she had said about him, but these are like some of the most important things, and I just want to get some more context on like what her stance has been on Jacob this whole time, right? Because that takes us to the next tweet. This tweet made yesterday from Alucard. Had a lot of people tagging me to this one. Thank you all for the tags. And it reads, "Hey guys, you're all pretty familiar with Kaylee Mills, bullying and doxing Jacob Takanashi at this point. But did you know that back in 2022, shortly after her voice acting career took off, she was actually trying to get his attention for more roles? Check it out," including this screenshot. But instead of using the screenshot, we'll go right to the tweet. Yeah, this is a real tweet. She made this. I wonder if she forgot to delete this one. But we can see back in 2022, Jacob Takanashi had said, "I'm working with a Japanese company to dub hundreds of their romance manga into visual novels for YouTube and Line. Looking for English-speaking female voice talent, American accent. Books are around 25 to 30 pages. You'll get a few lines per page. Pays around 4,000 Japanese yen per book. If interested, drop your demos below and I'll forward them to the hiring director. Ability to speak Japanese is a huge plus because we are working directly with the creators on this." To which Kaylee Mills said, "Hi Jacob. I speak quite a bit of Japanese and have done heaps of dubbing and other character work. Thanks for your consideration," and linking to her demos. So years ago, she was trying to use Jacob and his connections for more work. And then when all these VAs start publicly bashing Jacob, she's like, "Yeah, let me just join in and throw him under the bus." Now, here's the thing. If we give Kaylee Mills like the most charitable analysis of her actions, we could say, okay, maybe she wanted to work with him years ago, but she disagrees with what he did in replacing John Patnoid as the VA for Kenichi. Now, in my opinion, and what seems to be the majority opinion, we don't have an issue with what Jacob did. But again, I'm trying to put this from Kaylee's point of view. But here's the important caveat, the important distinction. Even if she disagrees with what Jacob did, she didn't have to publicly join in on this harassment campaign against Jacob with all these other VAs. She could have just said nothing. But no, she decided to publicly join in with these other VAs and harassing Jacob, and then taking it even further and like posting his personal information too. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Let me know what you guys think about that. Okay, but as I mentioned in the intro, I also found something hilarious over on Blue Sky, so let's hop over there. So I was checking up on Shara Kirby because I was wondering, like, didn't she say she was quitting? She was like all mad and she was quitting her role, you know, all that stuff. And then I saw that she had reposted on her Blue Sky account this comment that defends her and basically says, like, if you criticize Shara for her insane freakazoid rant, that you're racist. Because of course some SAG bootlicker over on Blue Sky would say that, and of course Shara Kirby would think, oh yeah, that's a good take, and repost it. Oh, and for the record, yeah, here you go. Here you can see reposted by Shara Kirby right in the top. By the way, guys, do you remember 1 month ago now when I made a video titled English voice actors are in serious trouble, talking about how the strike has already become a disaster, and that was before the Jacob Takanashi stuff even occurred? So, like, yeah, it's gotten obviously immensely worse since then. And there was that account Shara Kirby on YouTube getting mad at my video saying this video is full of misinformation. If you're not a member of SAG-AFTRA, maybe don't make videos like this. Thanks. I like going back to this every now and then because this is a comment that has aged so terribly, and it always makes me laugh. But anyways, this comment that Shara Kirby reposted to her own Twitter account, once again, makes the argument, and goes on and on and on. We'll read that stuff in a second. But makes the argument that if you criticize Shara Kirby, if you think she's unprofessional in her insane rant that we're going to read again really quick just for the context, that you're racist. So let's see what that rant says. She responds to Jacob Takanashi being excited to now have the role of Kenichi, and she says, "This gotta be the most classless thing I've ever seen with everything going on. Have fun with Genshin. You'll never work on anything else. LMFAO. It is also interesting how they're recording in Japan for English dub now. Wow, cool. Go a bed and recast me too while you're at it. F Hoyoverse, disrespectfully. Because let's be frank, who is going to beat me over a video game that underpays its performers and is actively farming their voices so that they don't have to hire real people?" And bro, the lack of self-awareness, because she's mad at someone for getting hired, a real person getting hired to play a role, but she's trying to make the argument that they're farming voices so they don't have to hire real people, as she's upset at them for hiring a real person. Crazy, crazy. One more thing, I have never dealt with a fan base as callous and as annoying as the Genshin fan base, who would go so far as to berate the voice actors. Who only want better protections and rates for being rightfully upset that someone publicly scabbed. Just insanity. I'm gonna delete. Oh, hold on. Where is it? Here we go. Wait, I missed it again. I'm gonna delete some of that thread later because this is a semi-professional page. Yeah, right, semi-professional. But TLDR, don't talk to me about Genshin Impact ever again. K. And then there was this one before that, I guess. It said, "The only other one I've dealt with like this is the Murder Drones fanbase, and only one of those doxed me. I'm not in the business of arguing and fighting with children," she says as she acts like one of the most immature people ever. And yeah, she ended up deleting most of that thread, but we can see the initial tweet getting all mad at Jacob Takanashi is still there. And also this one, where she tells Hoyoverse to recast her. It says F Hoyoverse, and then this person actually says based. Yeah, no, this is not based. This is just pathetic. And that context finally takes us over once again to this thread that Shara Kirby reposted that reads, "The comments Shara Kirby's getting that are tone policing her are rooted in racism. And if you're mad that Genshin hasn't had voice acting, maybe you should tell Hoyo to sign the dang interim agreement." Taking a look at this person's Blue Sky account really quick because I wanted to see if this person is a voice actor, and unfortunately, I don't see anything about being a voice actor. It would have been much more funny. But okay, let's read. "She's calling out a scab, and she's effing right. The new VA for Kenichi isn't going to find work after this because he's going to be blacklisted for being an effing scab." Wow, these people are insufferable. "You're supposed to hate that the game is silent right now and apply the pressure to the developers." Because what? Because all they have to do at this point is promise to put up AI guardrails. Yeah, we all know there's a lot more to it than that. Oh my gosh, dude. And like the mask off moment, like literally trying to make the player experience worse, hoping that the players will just like blindly side with them because they want the voices back. Like as if the players are supposed to worship these VAs or something. This is so pathetic. Oh my gosh. And once again, Shara Kirby reposted this. Shara Kirby really likes this whole thing, thinks this is like some great takes here. Continuing. "All of the posts I've seen about it are telling Shara to shut up and behave herself, and I guarantee you that you wouldn't be saying any of this to say Zach Aguilar if he posted this way." First of all, really tacky to bring Zach into your terrible argument. But yeah, Zach isn't saying stuff like this. But hypothetically, if he did make the exact same insane rant that Shara Kirby made, yeah, people would be criticizing him too. It has nothing to do with racism. What a desperate reach. Oh, and of course, the other obvious point, though, really quick. There's been plenty of male VAs and male SAG bootlickers who have been criticized as well. So yeah, just a complete flop of an argument. She's right to be angry, and she's right to express that anger, and she probably has more anger than we know about from years of racism and colorism from the fan base of a game that already sucks about racism and colorism. Do better, folks. By the way, saying she says that Americans own the English language and the solution is to switch the voice actors who speak English and other characters is a stupid mischaracterization and also doesn't help anyone because it doesn't change that the US situation sucks for workers involved. Doesn't even make sense. It's like a Karina moment, just like talking nonsense now. It's like completely unhinged. Also, don't those VAs deserve protections too? So maybe the fact that someone used a slur in my replies proves my point exactly. Yeah, what, sent from your alt account or something? But yeah, no point is proven. This whole post doesn't even help any of you guys. It just makes you all look worse. Like, you just sound like a bunch of crazy people, a bunch of Looney Tune talk, lunatics everywhere. Okay, now here's the actual top response to the person trying to say that criticizing Shara Kirby is racist. It reads, calling out someone being antagonistic is not racist. I've happily called out other VAs who were directly harassing a new VA via Twitter, especially Karina. Hiding behind your race or disability is not an excuse to hate someone who didn't even know about the strike. Do better, all of you. Except it is becoming racist since the misinformation is all over the place. Yeah, so now misinformation equals racism, apparently. Like, that's how much these people are trying to stretch that term. When a worker went on strike, that said worker should be called back when the strike is over, not being replaced. Oh, so now it's a strike? I thought it was a collective work refusal. These people can't even get their story straight. And they talk about misinformation. Isn't that funny? The new VA is also at fault here, since he made an announcement like passing of the torch. To be honest, if I'm a union worker and someone did something similar, like making an announcement or something, I would be pissed off too. Do better? Follow your own advice, all you self-entitled fans. These people are so mad at the Genshin community because the community has exposed them for the toxic people that they are. Other person says, I'm not even a fan of the English voice cast for the game to begin with. I just think as an aspiring actor that it's unprofessional and not okay to take out one's anger on uninvolved parties versus the actual perpetrator of the problem itself, i.e. Hoyo. I don't think Hoyo's in the wrong at all, personally, but continuing. Except he did make that announcement. And you tried to put the unprofessional straw man when it's basically a dog whistle for you have no right to defend yourself. Please accept our abuse and you'll be called professional. Yeah, first of all, there's no abuse, which this person points out. It's crazy how the instigators, the people attacking and harassing Jacob, are trying to frame it like they're the victims, like they're getting abused. Freaking crazy. And Shara Kirby isn't defending herself either. Once again, she's like one of the instigators. Abuse? What freaking abuse? It is not abuse to say, leave this person alone. Especially after multiple people wish for him to never get another job. If you think that's abuse, then you've got another thing coming. God forbid someone finds harassing a person who needs to support a family is bad. I repeat, when a union worker is on strike, a said worker should be called back after the strike is over, not being replaced. That's how unions work. It's not even a union game. Oh my gosh. Bro, these people. What Hoyo did is abhorrent. Sure, the new it's abhorrent. Hoyo literally gave this person 6 months to come back to their job. They were more than generous. Sure, the new VA shouldn't be harassed, but you want to harass union VAs, aren't you? Oh my gosh, dude. Seemingly former VA of Kanich wasn't part of the union, but on strike out of solidarity. Oh yeah, that too, huh? Apparently. To which some people like Paimon VA are in the same situation, haven't dropped the job because of the money they need, but why do they get a free pass and the new guy now doesn't? They also attacked him, lol. And that Lloyd person never responds. It's really funny how these people always dodge that point about Karina. Or like we saw from Kaylee Mills earlier, they try and have some double standard that gives Karina a pass. Ultimately, though, someone else will respond, and like this goes on a little bit more. But that is enough blue sky brain rot for me. So I'm going to leave it there, but let me know what you think about that in conversation. I think it's another example of how bad the points that these people make are. The main stuff I wanted to show you in this video, though, was that stuff, that tweet that was dug up from Kaylee Mills years ago where she was trying to get work from Jacob. And then that whole thing from that other person who was trying to say that like criticizing or simply thinking that Shara Kirby's take is unprofessional or anything like that, that's racist. Because that whole thread was so unbelievably exceptional. So yeah, let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the coverage. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and I'll see you in the next one.